exposed to asbestos and diagnosed with mesothelioma, you have rights. Our law firm handles mesothelioma and lung cancer claims. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer, call 888-950-MESO to discuss your rights. Call now for a free consultation. Call 888-950-MESO now.
All right, we are answering your financial questions just minutes away. We're hurting, let's face it. All these jobs dropping like flies. You know the number, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Call in. CNN Chief Business Correspondent and author Ali Velshi standing by, helping us get through this recession. Call us, email us, cnn.com/prime news. Want to hear from you. And want to hear from you on this one as well. It's a tough one. It's tough for me. I love football. You know, if you've ever played it, any competitive sport, you know it's a coach's job to push you. To be the best you can be. And a lot of people call that good coaching. But for a high school football coach in Kentucky, pushing a teenager too far, it could land him in jail. That's because the 15-year-old player died from a heat stroke after collapsing at practice. Let's bring in our Prime News correspondent, Rochelle Carey. Give us the details on this one, because we basically have two sides of the story to tell as well, don't we?
Exactly, Mike. Let me get you up to speed. David Jason Stinson, the coach, he is free on bond. He pleaded not guilty to a charge of reckless homicide yesterday. You're going to talk to some lawyers in a bit, but basically, with it being reckless homicide, that means the grand jury didn't consider his actions malicious or intentional, but they considered it a risk a reasonable person would have seen. This can be the first time criminal charges have been brought against a coach after a player's heat-related death. 15-year-old Max Gilpin collapsed after running sprints during a practice back in August. It was August. The heat index was 94 degrees. He died at a hospital 3 days later. People who were at practice say coaches were denying the players water and insisting they keep running until someone quit the team. One player, though, says that's not what happened. He says the team had 2 or 3 water breaks before practice. Gilpin's parents call the coach's conduct inexcusable. They are suing. They say he never helped the boy after he collapsed and did not immediately get him medical treatment. Stinson, the coach, briefly played for the New York Giants. He has gotten some community support. Hundreds of people actually turned out for a rally for him on Sunday. His lawyers say what happened was a tragedy, but they say Stinson is not to blame. So much to talk about here, Mike.
Yeah, a lot to sift through. Rochelle, thanks for setting the table for us. Again, it is a horrible story. I feel for everyone involved, but it brings up the questions. And the question, is this coach responsible criminally? I know coaches trying again to get the most out of their players, but how much is too much? And when does it become criminal? When, again, you have a tragedy like this. With more now, let's bring in our experts. Former NFL attorney Ivan Golde joins us. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Steve Greenberg. Also want to hear from you. 1-877-TEL-HLN is the phone number. Ivan, let's start with you. Do you see reckless homicide here?
Potentially, this is a fact-based case.
Yeah,
Let's interview all the witnesses. Let's see what happened. If this coach was aware, if this coach had this policy, if this coach saw this young man suffering, laboring, but still pushed and pushed and pushed because of his no water policy, you darn right he could be criminally culpable. This case is not unprecedented. Football players have collapsed before in practices for years and years. This is nothing new. But the knowledge that this coach may have had and the ignorance this coach may have had may land him in jail, and this case could serve as a positive precedent for other cases down the road.
Yeah, we do, let's face it, we do expect more from our coaches. They're more educated now than ever, especially when you talk about these heat-related illnesses,
and
heat stroke that can fall in. Real quick, Ivan, then we get Steve in.
Yes, I'm sorry. There should be a trainer there at the practice, perhaps even a team doctor, someone to keep an eye on these players. These are young men. You send your kids to school, you think they'll be safe.
Yeah, Steve, okay. And Rochelle laid this out. Reportedly, bystanders said the coaches denied players water, said we're going to run until somebody quits. Do you see this going criminal here? Is this criminal, reckless homicide? Go ahead.
Well, you know, reckless homicide, what's a reckless act? A reckless act means you're disregarding a known risk. Every day there are hundreds, if not thousands, of decisions that people make, educators, everyone else, that could potentially be classified as reckless acts if there's a bad result. You're stepping down that slippery slope here. Everybody wants football players to train hard. Everybody wants athletes to train hard. How is this guy supposed to know that this particular kid wasn't just laboring because he was out of shape, that it was the heat? You're putting too much pressure on a coach. You're criminalizing things that shouldn't be criminalized, and you're going to just kill football as a sport. Is it going to be criminal to send the 150-pound running back out there? There's a 300-pound lineman. The running back gets tackled. He breaks his neck. Is that criminal?
We're ready for that. See, let me jump in here, Ivan. Hang on a sec,
here.
Ivan. We understand that risk, the contact part of it, and the big guy against the little guy. But when you've got a heat index at 94, let me just throw this out there. Right here in Georgia, in Cobb County, and this is the high schools. I don't think it's a law, but it's a guideline that if the heat index hits 95, then off come the helmets and the shoulder pads, and they ease off on practice. That's a smart thing to do.
Here.
That's a smart thing. I know we're 1 degree off, but still, it's that kind of wisdom that you expect from a coach, right, Ivan?
Absolutely, and believe me, that kind of attitude is just what leads to this kind of tragedy. Oh, this is football. Oh, you're trying to get in shape. Oh, how do we know he was just out of shape? Of course there'll be an autopsy done. If this kid was in reasonable shape, it is up to the coaches, it is up to the educators, it is up to the schools. These are high school kids. This isn't the NFL. These are high school kids. This is an outrageous case if the facts prove that this coach...
How is he supposed to know, Ivan? How is he supposed to know that this particular kid, that's what he's suffering from, or he just didn't stop practicing? How was he supposed to know? What happened in the moments up
to
the kid collapsing?
For him to be charged, the district attorney must have facts, and you know there are facts there. Witness statements. How about another player saying, hey, coach, this player seems tired? How about the player himself saying, hey, wait a minute, I need a rest. I can't go on anymore. And the coach says, go, go. No, coach. And the coach pushes him and pushes him. There's got to be a line there.
How does he know that he was going to collapse from heat stroke? Coach, I'm tired. How do you equate that to I'm going to collapse from heat stroke?
Good question, guys.
I'm tired.
All right,
let's take the trial will show.
All right,
that's
guys.
That's why he was charged.
Another spirited discussion. Guys, hang tight. We're going to take a call coming up from a young guy. He plays high school football, right, Kurt? We'll get his take coming in just a second. One thing that gets me, 2 players collapsed. You had Max Gilpin, who passed away 3 days later. Another kid went down and spent a couple of days in the hospital as well. That factors in. We're taking your calls at 1-877-TEL-HLN.
Chloe is 9 months old.
She is the greatest thing ever.
One little smile, one little laugh. Anybody? We would do anything for her. My name is Kim Bryant, and my husband and I made a will on LegalZoom.
It was really easy to do.
We created LegalZoom to help you take care of the ones you love. Go to LegalZoom.com today and complete your will in minutes. At LegalZoom.com, we put the law on your side.
Where do you think you'd find the world's hottest interactive promotion company? San Francisco? Try Pleasant Ridge, Michigan, where you'll find ePrize.
Michigan is perfect for us. There's a great talent pool and the right business cost structure. With a ton of support from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, we're taking full advantage of everything that Michigan has to offer.
Now is the time to bring your entrepreneurial company here, because wherever in the world you compete, Michigan can give you the upper hand.
Macedonia, timeless.
On January 20th, the world shared a moment. On big screens and small screens and computer screens. In homes and offices. In schools. And in places you'd never imagine. It was a moment we all shared on the networks of CNN.
Issues with Jane Velez Mitchell tonight, 7 Eastern on HLN.
Continuing our discussion, a true tragedy here, and a high school football coach, we believe one of the first cases of its kind, is facing criminal charges because one of his players died from a heat stroke. A 15-year-old Max Gilpin basically collapsed at practice and died 3 days later. As I mentioned before the break as well, another player collapsed as well and spent a couple of days in the hospital. You know, I don't think this coach is a bad guy from what you see in the support he's getting, but I think he could have just been wiser in his decision-making here. We trust our coaches. Let's get some calls in on this one. Clayton in Illinois. Clayton, you play some high school football, is that right?
Yeah, I play high school football.
Go ahead, your thoughts on this.
It's really, I mean, it's wishy-washy the whole way, but really have to look at it. I mean, should the coach be tried criminally? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, you're out there working and practicing, competing in August with the two-a-days and whatnot, and you're working hard, you're constantly competing, and there's certain things that are outside of the coach's control. I mean, when I'm running, I'm just not going to, say, hey, I'm tired, hey, this or that, but I mean, it's just in the competition. I mean, sometimes even as a player, you don't even feel it coming.
No, this kid's 15, or Max Gilpin. I just don't think any player, or 99% of players, aren't going to challenge a coach and demand water. And that gets us back. Let me say this. This is and Ivan said it, this is a fact-based case, as many are, or all should be. Let's be honest about it. But what really happened to that practice? Did the coach say we're going to run until someone quits, or not? Those are the kind of things. Did they deny water to the players or not? That's what we have to find out, so we can make a for sure judgment on this. And you talk about this coach as a man. There was a rally for him over the weekend, and he spoke and talked about the loss himself. Let's listen to Coach Stinson.
I lost one of my boys out there that day. I lost one of my boys, a boy that I loved, and a boy that I cared for, and a boy that meant the world to me. That's the thing that people forget. And don't ever forget that, because that's a burden I will carry with me for the rest of my life.
Again, he has a lot of support here on this. Let's get another call in real quick, and then we'll get back to our experts. Pat in Tennessee. Pat, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to make a comment about the coach.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel that this has opened a can of worms, and I feel that this coach is also a mentor.
Yeah.
And just like he said, he lost a kid that he loved. Both of my boys are football coaches and have been for over 20 years.
Okay.
There is no way in the world that he would do anything like keep them from giving water to somebody that really needed it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a disgrace that people would get like the attorney. He's not a football coach. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Well, Pat, and that's part of the questions we have on this one, because that's part of the discrepancy. Did Coach Stinson even see the player go down? Were other coaches dealing with it? Because that's one of the, I believe that's a claim from the family that Coach Stinson didn't do anything about it. Guys, the clock's ticking on us. Ivan, I just want wisdom and knowledge to come out of this, that if it's 94 degrees, if that's the heat index, that's not the day to run until we quit, if that's in fact what happened here.
Coaches are not perfect. They're not. They make mistakes. Police officers are not perfect. They make mistakes. Doctors are not perfect. They make mistakes. If this coach had real knowledge, if the evidence shows this coach really knew this kid was laboring, didn't want to give him a break, want to run the team hard, and show this team, show the other players, we're going to get in shape no matter what, and a tragedy occurred, unfortunately, he very well may be criminally responsible.
Gotcha.
That's just the fact.
Steve, last word here. We got to run.
This is why we have civil lawsuits, which the family has filed. Criminal is not for mistakes. It's not for accidents. Next thing you know, they're going to start filing charges against doctors who make poor decisions and so forth. Slippery slope. And we don't want to go down it.
Okay, I think we can agree. Let's have better guidelines, strict guidelines when it gets into that 94, 95 degree, when it gets into dangerous heat indexes, let's back off a little bit. I think that would be wise. If you want to run them hard and it's 88, go ahead. But when it just seems like you get to 95 degrees, that should be a good point where we say, all right, off come the helmet and shoulder pads. I think that's a good plan, but we'll continue to follow this one for you. Steve, Ivan, thanks. Appreciate it. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about our money, our finances. We've seen jobs dropping like flies here. Allie Bell, she's standing by. Call